Can you hear me?
Hey,
I can't.
Christopher.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Christopher. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started here. Do you remember how to identify the angle of depression, or do you want me to draw a picture of the reference?
So I remember the depression line would be like 4.
That's correct. That's correct. In this drawing, 3 would be the angle of elevation because it's the one that's kind of going up towards it. Good. Okay, so here is a related question. All right. And sorry, just trying to snip this in here. The next question is to identify the angle of elevation. So it's the one that's kind of rising. I don't know if you remember that from before.
Yeah, so it'd be 1.
Well, that is true because it's the same as the angle of depression, but we want the one that's rising.
Oh, so that would be is that like 4 or what is that 3?
Yes.
Because it's okay.
So 3 is actually also an angle of depression. It's a weird picture. 4 is the correct answer though on that.
Okay.
And then we got one more here to look at. Okay, angle of depression. What say you?
That'd be number 7.
Angle 7, yeah, very good. Do you have your Desmos calculator out?
No, I'm pulling it up now. So
perfect, because we're going to need it for the next question here. This is just a nice, straightforward question. You don't have to do much for this other than enter it into the calculator. Okay, use a calculator to find sine 172 degrees rounded to the nearest hundredth. That's 2 decimal places. So you go to that 3rd decimal place, and that's what you decide what you're going to round it to.
0.14.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit more difficult questions, but we're going to work them together. If you have pencil and paper out, definitely recommend taking some notes.
Okay.
Okay, from the top of a 300-foot high tower.
Okay.
So here's your tower. It's 300 feet tall. Person observes the base of a tree. So there's a tree out in the distance. These are triangle problems. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the angle of depression is 45 degrees. So which other angle in this triangle is also 45 degrees?
That would also be the angle of elevation.
That's right, which is down here. Okay. All right, now we want the horizontal distance. We want x. So relative to this angle right here, what is 300 and what is x? And our options are opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse.
Oh, opposite over adjacent.
Right. So the tangent of 45 equals 300 over x. Now, do you remember what I said about these two things? What are we allowed to do with them?
We're allowed to cross multiply.
You can do that, but they also just swap positions. So x ends up being in the top left, and
300 over tangent
45 is in the bottom right. Okay, so do that calculation, please, and let me know what you come up with.
Okay. I get 300 as my answer.
That is correct. Give me just a moment here.
Okay. Also, give me 1 moment.
Okay.
Okay.
You're back?
Yep.
Okay. The next problem here I want us to do is it's a vector problem. I think this is where we left off yesterday, and we didn't quite finish it up. So it's even if it's a vector, it's still a triangle problem. The magnitude is always the hypotenuse, and the direction you can call that like the base angle or the angle of elevation even would be okay. So if I were to draw this triangle here, which is the angle of elevation?
Angle of elevation would be 42.
Right,
Well,
right there.
yeah, at the bottom.
And 10. Okay. And this problem wants you to find x and y. And we have these three things. So, ka, toa. These are our toolbox. Okay. So the cosine of 42 degrees equals what over what?
That would equal, okay, so it's adjacent over hypotenuse. So x would be my adjacent and 10 would be my hypotenuse.
Okay. So now because the variable's in the numerator, you want to clear this 10 by multiplying both sides by 10. Do you see
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
So x equals 10 cosine 42. Now in that Desmos calculator, just enter that expression in there. Don't do it in pieces. Just start entering it, and
Okay.
let me know what you get for a final answer on that.
Okay. Okay, I get 7.4 as my answer.
Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing for y. We're going to do 10. I'm sorry. We're going to do the sine of 42. Sine of 42 this time because y is on the opposite side and the
Yeah.
hypotenuse is 10. So y is 10 sine 42. Now in your Desmos, you don't need to delete it. Just go in and change cosine to sine.
Okay.
Like backspace it or just, I don't know, whatever you like, hover your cursor over it.
I get 6.7 as my answer.
Excellent. Okay. So we're on to our last kind of grouping of problems here. Law of sines, maybe law of cosines, we'll see. Okay. So law of sines here. I'm going to just label the information that's given. So this is 22 degrees. This is 65 degrees. Little s is 176.
Yeah.
And we want to find q right here.
Mhm.
So if you remember, you put the thing that you're trying to find in the top left, and it's the letters go together. So do you see this side and this angle? They're pairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Like someday you'll sit across from someone you like, and that's big Q likes little q.
Uh-huh.
And then little s over sine big S. Okay.
Could you
Now
give me one moment,
sure.
please? Thank you. Sorry about that.
Hey, Christopher. Okay, so here's what we got. We've got Q, big Q, S, little s. Okay,
Mhm.
and they match like these go together, and then these go together. So we're just going to substitute in what we know. Big Q is 22, sine of 22 equals little s is 176, and big S is 65 degrees.
Yep.
I think when we first did this, I said, go ahead and enter these as decimals, but because of that calculator, here's the power of that calculator. I don't know what sine 22 is, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by the sine of 22. Okay, so I'm going to put sine 22 here and sine 22 here. Okay, do you see how on the left they cancel?
Yeah.
So in your calculator, in your decimals there, type in the following, type in 176 sine 22 slash sine 65. And that'll give you your final answer for Q.
Okay.
And that's the power of this approach of using your calculator the way it was designed.
I get 72.7 as my answer.
Perfect. Okay. Let's look at the next problem here. Okay, so the next problem is actually not a law of sines, and it's a law of cosines.
Mhm.
And we didn't spend any time talking about that, but we'll label the information. That's 95 degrees. A is 26 and B is 17. Okay, so the formula here for law of cosines is as follows. It's not important that you know this right now because you'll see it again in pre-calculus in a lot more depth. All right, so we're trying to find C,
Mhm.
and C squared is A squared. A is 26 squared plus 17 squared minus 2 times 26 times 17 cosine of 95 degrees. I guess that
Okay.
goes to the inside there. Okay, so now, I mean, again, this is the power of that calculator, that Desmos calculator you got there. C is the square root of this on the right-hand side. So all you've got to do in your calculator is follow what's written here. Okay, all you have to do is literally write square root 26 squared plus 17 squared minus 2 times 26 times 17 cosine 95. So give that a try, please.
Okay. Okay. I get negative 44.8. 8.
Why don't we do this? We haven't done this in a while. I'm going to make you co-host, okay? And I'm going to have you share your screen because I'd love to see what you're putting into your calculator.
Mhm.
Because that's really what this comes down to, is like your ability to enter into the screen. So I made you co-host. You can share at any time. There you are. Okay, so here's what I see, Christopher. See that square root? It doesn't extend over the final calculation.
Yeah.
Okay, so go put your cursor there after the 26 and just start type parentheses 17. We're going to
Okay.
delete out the rest. Just do parentheses 17.
Oh, so that's what I was doing wrong. I
Yep.
put in spaces.
And then, yeah, you don't need spaces. And then go to the right of that and put cosine 95. Okay, and then just delete the rest of it. Perfect. And that does
32.3.
yes, that's great here. So let me get back to where I'm sharing.
Okay.
It's got,
Do you want me to stop the share or?
oh, it's up to you. It'll automatically stop when I start sharing my screen again.
Okay.
But it's a really tough skill to be able to enter all of that into the calculator correctly. So yep, for one more challenge here.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. So this triangle, they give you the three sides. They give you, this is 31, this is 22, and this is 18. And they want you to find the measure of angle A. So to do that, it's the following formula. All right, so here's what you have. You have A, 31 squared,
Mhm.
B, 22 squared,
Mhm.
C, 18 squared, minus 2 times 22 times 18 cosine of big A. Now, this is kind of a loaded like thing to solve for. So we're trying to solve for big A over here on the right. So the first thing you have to do is undo the 22 squared and the 18 squared. So you
Okay.
do that by subtracting. Now just follow along here. Is that step clear? I just moved those to the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing is you're actually going to undo this out in front because it's multiplying, so you divide it. So you get 31 squared minus 22 squared minus 18 squared over negative 2 times 22 times 18 equals cosine A. Did you follow that? I just divided this over.
Yeah.
Now the very last step is to undo cosine with cosine inverse. So it's cosine inverse of, and this is what you're going to have to enter in your calculator very carefully. But if you enter this starting from the left,
Mhm.
create a fraction, put this numbers on the top, this numbers on the bottom, you will get the right answer.
Okay.
So I'd like to see you work through that. Is there a problem?
Yeah. So I'm trying to get that one big line, and to get divided, but it's I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Okay, so I'm gonna make you you're already co-host. Go ahead and share your screen and let's look at it together.
So, okay,
So go ahead and highlight all that stuff in the side parentheses and then hit the division symbol.
oh,
All right, keep going. -2. I'll tell you what to type. Parentheses 22. And then go to the right and then do another parentheses underneath there, 18. Excellent. Okay. Sometimes you got to know how to use the tool before you can use the tool. So you got 101 degrees, perfect. Excellent there. All right. So I'm gonna go back to sharing. How much more time do we have before you have to go today?
I'm not sure. We started at 9:30, so
Okay, well
10.
we'll go a little bit further then. I think we'll just get started into the next thing. It's going to be a lot of the same stuff. So great chance to just keep reviewing here. Let's go for a little bit longer and see how we do. Actually, we don't need to do that. Let's move on to this. Here we go. Okay. All right. So we're trying to find BR. BR is the hypotenuse over here, C. Which trig function do you want to use here to find this? And it depends on what you're given. You're given that one and you're trying to find that one.
So I would go with adjacent over hypotenuse.
Which of these three is that?
It's ca or
Cosine.
cosine.
Cosine. All right, so cosine of 31 equals what over what? You just said it, but give me the actual values now, or letters.
42 over c.
Okay, and what can we do with these two?
We can swap them.
So c equals 42 over cosine 31. So go ahead and use your calculator there and figure out what is the correct answer.
$48. Well, 49.
Perfect. All right. All right, so next question says to write a vector in what's called component form. So to do that, x1, y1, x2, y2, you have to write it as x2 minus x1, comma, y2 minus y1.
Okay. Okay, I get 4 comma negative 12.
Okay, so 4, so you did -3, minus a -7, comma, -7, -5. Yeah, good. I'm only checking because this one has a little bit more importance on it. So just make sure we get the right answers. All right. Next question here. It says identify tangent of P as a fraction. So here's P. This, you got to remember this SOHCAHTOA. Okay, now tangent is what over what in this case?
Opposite over adjacent.
So which is the opposite and which is the adjacent?
8.5 is my opposite and 16 is my adjacent.
Very good. All right.
Oh, now I put this in. Sorry.
Oh, no, you don't have to do
Oh.
anything on that. I'll tell you here. So this one, let's do it. So the first thing is to find the hypotenuse here. So what do you use to find the hypotenuse?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Okay, so I'd like you to try that. And I do want an answer from a calculator. So again, try to use that Desmos
Okay.
Scientific and do it as best you can.
I got 114.13.
So that sounds like what you get, what C squared is, but don't you have to undo the square?
That's right. So then I have to square root it.
That's right. And what I was suggesting here, Christopher, is that you could actually do that all in one step on your calculator. You could type in the square root of 6.2 squared plus 8.7 squared.
I see.
And if you just have this part in your calculator, you can highlight it and then put this and then hit the square root, and it should put the square root around it.
Okay.
Give it to me to 2 decimal places, please.
10.68.
Perfect. All right, very good. All right, so next question here. It says to find the magnitude and the direction. Okay, so this vector is x comma y. The magnitude of the vector is the square root of x squared plus y squared. Doesn't that look familiar? Didn't we just do that?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and find that for me. And the next one we'll find is the angle, but go ahead and give me the magnitude first, please.
Okay. Okay, I get 9.5.
Okay, perfect. I agree with you. Now, the angle is not tangent of theta, it's theta. So you're going to put in, what is the y value over?
The y value is 9.
9/3. But you need to undo tangent. You undo tangent with tangent inverse, 9/3. So you want to enter all this into your calculator and let me know what you come up with for your
Okay.
angle.
.6, 71.6.
Okay, so maybe 72 degrees on that.
Yeah.
All right, great. So next question here, just get this fit into the window properly. Okay, so it says identify AB rounded to the nearest 10th. AB is over here, that's Y.
Mhm.
This is the angle you're given. Okay, so what is y and what is 17 relative to this angle?
It's opposite over adjacent.
Okay, so which of these three trig functions are you doing?
Tangent.
Tangent of 52 equals y over 17. How do you solve that for y? We did one like that earlier.
So we would, oh, I'm thinking of the other way around. Uh,
Well, you can swap positions, but that doesn't help you, right?
it doesn't.
Because then it's still on the bottom there. So how do you clear something from the bottom?
You multiply 17 on both sides.
Perfect. And then it cancels here. So what are you going to enter into your scientific calculator?
So 17 times the tangent of 52.
Yes.
I get 21.7.
Check your rounding one more time, please.
So I get 21.759.
So 5 rounds up.
Yeah, so it's 21.8.
Very good. All right. Thinking this is a good place to stop. We would need another 20 minutes or more to finish this, maybe
Okay.
30. And I'm sure you've got a few things you want to get done also. So let's go ahead and pause here. We can pick this up another time.
Okay.
Stand by with me though, please.
Okay.